All right, guys, today we got a 2011 Jeep Wrangler with a 3.8 liter in it, not the notorious 3.6, but he had it into a local shop and they said it needed a motor in it and he doesn't know why. Let's get into it. Backstory is that the client took this in to a shop. He said that the dashboard lit up like a Christmas tree. Took it in and they said you need a motor. And they didn't want to go any further than that. So that's really all he told us. He said, that's all I know. I don't know why. He said, I don't know why they told me I need a motor. He said, but they did. So he brought it up to us for us to look at it. I kind of walked around this thing real quickly. And, you know, this is a clean Jeep. I don't know how many miles are on it yet. We're going to jump in here and take a look. I did do a scan just to see what the, that's pretty, that must be for an antenna or something. Got a quick coupler there. But yeah, pretty clean vehicle to me. Let's take a look. Let's see what the miles is on it. 222,074. So it's got some miles on it. Maybe that's why they said it needed a motor. Maybe they just didn't want to mess with it.
It's a clean Jeep for 222,000
It
miles.
sure as heck is. For 222,000, this thing is.
It's showing.
I mean, there's not a tear in the seat, not anything.
That's impressive.
Clean vehicle. There's several codes in here. There's codes for, there's a PO340, a PO344, which are cam sensor codes. That's intermittent, bank 1, sensor 1, and a circuit code. And then there's some body control module codes for loss with audio amplifier, but it's got an aftermarket radio in it. So it says lost communication with the amplifier and the radio. All right, we're wiping them off because it's got an aftermarket radio. We've got wiper park switch, high beam, analog brake stuff, torque request signal denied, implausible data received from the ECM. So sometimes you'll get an ABS problem because you have an engine control problem. And so we're not going to go down that route. And then we've got some airbag code and then tire pressure sensor codes. All right, we're going to focus on these camshaft codes. He said that, I think he said that it would not go above 3,000 RPM also. So that's another complaint of his, that the lights lit up and it would not go over 3,000 RPM. I've got this in here. We're going to go ahead and get the data pulled up. I'm just going to pull up cam. Let's see what we've got for RPM and maybe cam signals if they've got something in here. You know, I'm probably going to end up with a scope on this thing. I know, a bunch of people just tuned out. That's all right. I'm just getting anything with the crank or cam. Not looking like there's a whole lot here. I want engine RPM. No, I didn't. I must have went by that fast. There we go, engine RPM. All right, said okay. Let's graph them. Let's take this thing for a drive. So the only light, well, there are a couple lights on. There's the check engine light on, right there. And then there's an airbag light. All right, so the airbag, it has some codes for that. I'm not gonna be overly concerned with that. We're here to figure out this check engine light. Got this pulled up. Crank signal missing false, crank sync state in sync, crank signal mode false. Yeah, so probably not going to see much there. Let's see if we can't duplicate the lack of going over 3,000 or whatever RPM it was saying that it couldn't go over. 3,000 RPM, I mean, it could be on limp mode. It could be, it's not getting, it's not liking whatever signal that it's seeing from the camera crank. And it's just kind of in a limp mode because of that. And so it's just trying to get you home. Manufacturers are, the engineers are pretty good about, they don't want you stuck on the side of the road any more than you want to be stuck on the side of the road. So they try to build things in as much as they can to get you where you need to go. Unfortunately, a lot of times people will just keep going and going and going and going. I mean, there's a problem. It's a known, something's going on. It's not running right, but hey, it just gets me around. So I'll just let it keep going. And, at some point it's just going to break. Things are running okay. It's pulling up good. I mean, I'm only at 2,000 RPM, just holding it. It's 35 mile an hour in here. We're doing about a tick under 40. Let's go ahead and do some acceleration here. Let's see. It's above 3,000. I mean, that seemed to pull okay to me. I'll try it again here. It is a Jeep, so it's kind of got the little Jeep wander. Seems to do okay.
Definitely is not driving like something that needs a new engine.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, it's not making noise. It's not. I mean, it's running. I mean, honestly, it's running fine right this minute. I'm sure there's an issue with it. Clearly, there's codes in it, and something's going on. Our next logical step is going to be to scope the cam and the crank, and let's see if we, see anything out of the ordinary there. Something weird on either one of those signals. We may end up having to drive it with those connected to see if we can't get it to fail. But right now, it's running fine. It doesn't mean that we're not going to see a marginal sensor. That's one thing that, a lot of times when a vehicle's not actively messing up, sometimes you can see something in a scope pattern that's a little off, and you could go, okay, that's definitely a problem. So let's get back. We're going to need to get on the cam and the crank on this one and get a pattern pulled up. Got the maintainer on it. As soon as I popped the hood, I saw the sensor. So the cam sensor anyway. Got a brand new cam sensor in it with a brand new connector. At least it looks brand new. We can see the part of the weather pack. Hopefully that's off the old connector back there. Let's see if I can't. Right back in there, that little piece back there. If you notice, it's got a U shape right there. That's a slot where the bolt goes in. These sensors have, when you put them in, they've got a spacer. I don't know what this spacer on this one looks like. I remember back in the day, they used to come in a little cardboard sheet, and there were little felt spacers basically. And what you did was you stuck the spacer to the bottom of the sensor. You put the sensor in and you pushed it all the way down where it made contact, and then you tighten your bolt up. And then when the engine started up, I know everybody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. It's just the way it was. When the engine started up, it would just roll that little felt washer or felt little spacer deal off, and it would fall into the oil, and then it would just be there forever. But I don't know what this one looks like or what that sensor. If somebody put that in and didn't have that spacer in there, that could be the issue. The crank sensor is on the back of this thing. I think it's very difficult to get to. So what we're going to do is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to get a pin out of the engine module. We're going to come over here. We're going to get our crank and cam sensor here. Somewhere it's going to be in one of these connectors here. And that way I'm up here working. I'm not down there trying to figure out how I'm going to get to stuff, because I don't think it's easy to get to down there. So we're going to do it here. So let me get the pin out up of this where I can back probe it in there. I'm just going to use all data for that. Now, a lot of people ask about what information sources we have. We have all data. We have Mitchell. We have Motologic, and we have Identifix, because none of them are complete. And then we have OE also. Those are the ones that are complete generally, but we're just so used to using one that it's easier for us to get to the information we need very quickly, unless we're doing something really weird where it doesn't have the information. Then we'll go back to the OE one. Let me get a pin pulled up at this, and a pinout pulled up at this, and we'll get our scope hooked up. Went to the wiring diagram, went to the pinout, and I've got a couple of things hooked up here. I've got the cam and crank sensor in our PCM. So it's up under the bottom row of the PCM connector under here. So that's our input. That's just our signal input into the PCM. At the cam sensor, I went ahead and grabbed all three circuits going into the cam sensor themselves, one cam sensor into the cam sensor, right? I'm hoping that I don't need to do that on the crank sensor. Here's what I'm looking for. If I've got a good cam and crank signal going into the PCM, then we know our power and our ground going to the sensor is good. I grabbed the cam sensor because it's super easy to get to. I'm there. Let's just give it one swipe. If I've got to get, the crank sensor is not easy to get to, so I'm hoping that we've got a good crank sensor input so that then I can just eliminate having to get to that crank sensor. If we have anything wrong with our crank sensor input, I'm just making sure everybody understands this. If we have something wrong with this crank sensor input going into this PCM, then we have to go to the actual sensor and get the inputs, get the power and ground going to it. Because if we don't have the right output, we might not have the good input. And we don't just want to condemn a sensor or something without knowing that it's got everything that it needs. So I've got the scope set up, and we are ready to fire this thing off. All right, we got deep record going. All right. Let's go ahead. You guys hear that there is a, sure it's facing the camera at himself. There is a knocking noise. If you hear the knocking noise in the background, it is because there is an actuator under the dash that is going crazy, and it will do that a few times. All right, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we've got here. Looks like, let's just go ahead and do a zoom. Kind of see something a little weird already, but let's look at this, see what we got here. All right, so our yellow is going to be our crank sensor. Let's go ahead and turn off the other stuff so we can just kind of look at this without. And always look at the scale. So we're 0 to 5 volts, so that looks good. Sometimes that'll throw you off. It'll look like a good waveform, and it's half the size it should be. All right, I don't see anything wrong there. I see a good crank signal. Let's turn on the other two and zoom out. This funky little area right here, I want to see what that is. Let's see why it doesn't. Let's turn off the crank. First thing to do, let's look and see if, so the green is at the cam sensor itself, the red is at the module. We can see that they're identical, so we're okay there. Let's see here, I want to zoom out a little bit. All right, my blue one is not connected. Dang it, look at there. I should have looked at this one first, guys. The blue one is not connected to a circuit, but you know what? Actually, we're okay. We're okay. I should have looked at that, but we've got a sensor signal here, but it is weird, so we're probably going to need to get into that. Let's look at, is our white one connected or no? And neither is, how is that right? Hang on. Our white and our blue are not connected. Doggone it, what am I doing here? I normally wouldn't have to even worry about it because we have a signal at, we have a cam signal, but this is funky. This deal right here, this has got to be what's cranking right here, and then it pops up. And that shouldn't do that. As a matter of fact, it pops up to what we at over here, like 6.5, almost 7 volts. We're going to need to, we got to get into the powers, because power and ground, because that's not normal. My thought is this thing should be up here, should have a square wave going up to about 5 volts or so. Unless this is a 7.5 volt input, and that could be some kind of weird 7 volt or 12 volt input going into this thing. Sadly, because I didn't pay attention, it does happen. It's real world. I'm not hooked up, so I've got to get these connected.
You going up there?
Going up.
Climbing up in there? Or?
I'm not climbing up in here. Okay. One, because I'm weak. No, not weak. What is it? I can't remember what was said. What am I? I said I was too old to be doing this stuff.
Yeah, he said you're too soft, I think it was.
Soft.
I think that's what he said.
Soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, the keyboard warriors. I'm soft.
We love all the comments from those kinds of people.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
No, but we appreciate all the majority of comments that are...
Oh, the overwhelming majority of people are very positive comments, and we do appreciate all of you.
And we read them.
Yep. Even the keyboard warrior ones.
We probably shouldn't reply to them, though, like we do. They get me to reply sometimes.
They definitely get you. They don't get me at all, because I'm at the point in my life where, well, I would tell you, but... There we go. All right. Should have done that to begin with. Now we're connected. Let's go ahead and redo the crank on this thing. Do it again. Interesting. Okay. That's interesting. We might have to do it one more time, but there's that popping back there. All right, so we definitely have, our blue is going to be our power going to the cam sensor. And our white is going to be ground. And you can see that those are okay. They're not like doing anything crazy. Noisy for sure, but let's go ahead and blow this up here. So I will tell you that this is not right. This thing right here, what this is doing right here, popping up, we got low and then we go high, and when we go high, we're going way up. I mean, we're going up to, let me just look at this thing right here. Let's pull in our cursors. All right, let's zero that one. Let's pull this one down. Let's just get somewhere like right in here. That's almost 6.5 volts. So we're at 4 volts here, and then we go, I don't know if you guys can see that thing, but we're at 4 volts or so, right at 4 volts here, and then all of a sudden we get up to over 6 volts up here. And this is a 5 volt reference. So, and our ground is not doing anything weird. If our ground was going up right here, and then we did this, then I could say, okay, we got a ground issue. But none of that is true. Ground is holding and the power is holding. Something is going on with that sensor. And I feel like, only because I know that these things are adjustable, I think that thing's not adjusted right. I looked around yesterday and I found.
Yeah, he's saying that because it's the next day. I don't think we made.
Yeah,
that. I don't think we.
Yeah, this
that.
is the next day. I found these. These are the old little spacers. They unpeel and you stick them on the sensor. I don't know that these are right for this vehicle though. Normally, when you bought the sensor, it came with the one on it or one to put on it. I bought that because there were times when you pulled a sensor out for repair or something like that. You were doing something on the car and you had to put it back in there. You want to make sure it was adjusted properly. But honestly, I can't even believe I found those because I haven't used them in many, many, many years. Leave a comment down below if you guys remember using those things and what they fit, because I can't even really remember. I know it was a Chrysler product and I know it was on the crank sensor, and I think it was on the cam sensor and the crank sensor on cars, but I can't remember what models or anything they were. So what I want to do is I'm going to adjust that sensor. I'm going to loosen that sensor up. Let's just play with it a little bit. Let's just move it. We're not going to hurt anything because I don't think it's adjusted right now. So let's move it a little bit and let's see if we can make a difference in that waveform. Because somebody's been here and done something with this thing. I mean, clearly this is not a new, or not a old sensor. So let's just back it out just a little. All right. I think I moved it a little bit. Let's go ahead and tell you what I want to do. I'm going to just save this waveform real quick. All right, go ahead. Okay. Now we have an extended crank, and we have changed the waveform. So now we had a longer crank, and the waveform has changed. Let's go ahead and blow this up. Whoops. Let's blow this up. Look what's happened here. Let's just get these first few pieces of it. So now we've got, what was where we're at here, like 4.5-ish. Then we come up here and we get up to 6, that's 6 something, and then we run it and it pops up again That spun over quite a bit that time.
Is the when it's extended crank, is that all where it's at 6.25? And then once it started up,
it started
right around 7 when it started.
It started right here. See how it sped up?
Yeah.
So this is where, you can't see the marking right there, but right there is where it started.
Yeah.
So it spun, and then it kind of popped up a little bit. So, okay. Well, I got to be careful going the other way, because I don't want it to hit something. So we're going to take now and move that sensor down just a little.
Same thing.
At some point, we're going to have to, get more than likely, we're going to have to get a sensor.
That is so weird.
To get whatever we need to put it in here at the right. Let me go ahead and just push it down.
All right.
All right. Well, that's as far down as it goes right there. It won't go any further down.
There we go.
Lost green.
All right. So now let's try that. Let's go ahead and start it up again, Sherwood. All right. Start it up one more time. I just want to hear it. Same thing. All right. I did not get the second start. I just wanted to see if it started up the same way, but you can see it's doing the same thing. It started a lot faster, but look, it's still doing that.
You think it's just a bad sensor?
Something's not right for sure. I mean, it's definitely, something is not right here. Yes, I think this is a bad sensor. I just don't know how it's doing this. I don't know how it's getting 6.5 volts. And maybe I'm just thinking about this wrong, but I don't know how it's generating that. This, if this was a, I just don't know how it's generating that much voltage right there off of a 5-volt reference. I think this is a bad sensor. I think possibly this sensor has got an internal grounding issue. We got a good ground going to it, but I think this possibly has an internal grounding issue. And that's why it's doing that. And that would definitely cause our code that we have.
And the 3,000 RPMs thing?
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely go into like a limp mode where once it sees that. I don't know why it wouldn't do it all the time, because when we drove it, it was fine.
So you're still not leaning towards a new engine?
Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah, I don't think this is an engine issue at all. I think we get a sensor. I want to get an OE sensor for this. And I want to see, hopefully it comes with some kind of spacer on there. And I'm going to do some research on that to see. It's got to be, the only way that I would ever know to get it right is to have something on the end of it. So hopefully it'll come with it. But let's get an OE sensor here. I'll take the chance. I believe it's an OE sensor. I think this sensor is defective. So let's get a sensor that, at least, OE doesn't always mean good, but let's try to go that route if one's available. It is a 2011. Let's see if one's available. And then, let's get it in there and let's see if we get a different waveform, because that's not right. That's not correct. So we're going to have to get that. It should be 5 volts and pretty much be 5 volts. It shouldn't go. And here's the other thing is, well, it shouldn't matter though. Just going to think of while we're cranking, it's lower, but then the ground is good going to it, so we're not losing that at all. Let me not go down the rabbit hole. We're going to get a sensor here. We're going to put it in there. I'm going to take the chance. If it doesn't fix it, I'll eat it. But we got to do this. There's nothing wrong with the crank sensor. We know that. The power and ground going to the sensor are good. We've got a circuit code issue for this sensor, and we've got a very strange anomaly on the scope. So it really can't be anything else at this point, unless there's some weird adjustment there that possibly you set it in that perfect position and it doesn't do this. But even when I had it all the way out and all the way in, it still had the same deflection of voltage. It had a longer crank time on that one, but the deflection in voltage was still the same, and it shouldn't have that deflection. So we're gonna get a sensor here. Sensor's here. Mopar, genuine parts and accessories, made in China. Let's give it a shot. Let me not cut this bag open anywhere near the vehicle. I wouldn't want to scuff a piece of plastic. Let me sharpen my knife up.
It was not a scuff, but
Huh?
it was definitely not what I would call scuff, but
What would you call it?
I don't know. A reason
let's
for
see.
someone to complain.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely comes off. Okay, so that's our spacer right there. That's our spacer. So it's different than the one that I had, for sure. Because those, quite a bit bigger. I don't know about thickness. Real close. Maybe could have trimmed it down, but don't need to. Let's go ahead and get installed.
This camera is so weird sometimes.
Looks like the same height and everything. So I was just kind of looking at this to see if it's anything crazy different. I don't see anything that's glaringly obvious as far as differences go, other than a couple little pieces of the plastic are formed a little differently. So okay, and that's down, and I can't push it any further. I'm not going to sit there and press down hard on it. It's sitting down into place. We're going to just tighten it up. Once we get it. What just happened?
I don't know, the video that I'm editing decided to play an ad.
All right, you want to go ahead and...
Yeah,
I got that. Hold on to that. And then it stops. And Baby G's in here ready to go too. Say hey. Hey. I'll drive it in a few minutes. I'll let you know. Okay. Okay, here we go. It's on. Let me make sure I got connections. We do. All right, let's fire it off. Same thing. That's so weird. That is so weird. I had to step back away from this thing. We brought in some backup. We got Coco in here. Coco said he don't know what's going on with his car. Let me tell you where we're at with it. Called Jeff at ATS, showed him the waveform. What's throwing this thing, this wrench in this deal, is the voltage of the signal. Let Jeff look at it. He had no explanation for it. Let Bernie look at it. He's like, this is really, really weird. So it can't, got to get our mind around this, and I've struggled with this. And this is a 0 to 5 volt signal. What is going to happen is this module is going to feed 5 volts into that sensor on the power feed. So 5 volts going into it on the power side. It's going to have a ground side. And then on that signal wire, that module is going to put out 5 volts, and then it's going to, the sensor itself is going to pull that 5 volts down. It is physically impossible for that module to put out, well, I say it's physically impossible. I mean, unless something crazy is inside that module causing some weird issue where something's crossed inside the module, it doesn't make sense for that module to put out more voltage than 5 volts. It's just on a regulator. It's just not a thing. So my mind, as I step back away from this thing, because I already put a part on it. I don't like putting a part on something and then not fixing it because it's just not the way we normally do things here.
At least we didn't start with an engine though.
Didn't put an engine in it, right? We didn't start throwing engine mod, did an engine in it. That didn't fix it. Put a whatever. They already put a sensor in it. I've talked to this client now at length. Lots of information from him as far as takes great care of this vehicle, changes the oil regularly, keeps it clean, keeps it up, doesn't let things get out of hand. When something breaks, he fixes it. This happened where he lost power. He was coming over the intercoastal from Fernandina, and he said he just couldn't get over the bridge, lost power, took it into the shop. They say sensor. They said it's fixed, double thumbs up, sent him on his way. He said he's going back over the bridge to get home, and it couldn't get over the bridge, turned around, went back, and they told him it needed a motor in it. Here's where my mind's going with this. We've got low voltage. We've got 3.5 or so volts on that line, on that circuit we're talking about. I don't care. Okay. Let me make sure everybody's on board with this because I had to get my mind around this. I don't want it to be confusing here. We got our 5-volt reference. That's good. That thing stays at 5 volts. Not a problem. Doesn't dip, doesn't go up. It's good. 5 volts. Our ground is good. Never varies. We're good. Those 2 circuits were off the board. We don't have an issue with them. We're not going down those holes, those rabbit holes. The sensor signal circuit should have 5 volts on it coming out of that module. Key on, engine off, sensor disconnected, should have 5 volts on it. Let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's look and see what that is right now. Sadly, we get, when they go to crank it over, we know we get low voltage. This thing is super tight. There we go. Okay. I'm just going to get a meter. Just going to get plain. Everybody can see me actually grab a meter. I do own one, and you can see it's well used. Here's our voltage from our module. That's our sensor. Can you see it? That's our sensor. That's on our sensor signal circuit. 4.13 volts. Right now, there's a problem. Right this second, there's a problem. That thing should be 5 volts. Shouldn't be 4.13. Shouldn't be, if it was 4.98 or 4.9 something, maybe I say, okay, not 4.13. We're almost a full volt low. What can cause us to have 3.5, 3.3, whatever that voltage was? I'm not going to pull it up right now. I got it memorized pretty much. Too low of a volt, right? We got 3 point something volts. And then when it fires off, we get more voltage than we should. We get sometimes 6.5, sometimes 5.5, 5.8, but we're always over 5. We shouldn't be over 5. It's just not possible to be over 5 coming, from that module's putting out 5 volts. Right now, you see it's only 4.1. What can cause that? The only thing that makes any sense in this, and this is going to be probably, if I find this and it turns out this is it, will be probably one of the craziest things ever. The only thing that makes sense is that circuit is shorted to another wire. That is, it's not shorted all the way. It's touching another wire. And that other circuit is grounded or not on, grounded in some way, shape or form, until the engine starts. And then when the engine starts, we get a greater voltage than 5. My guess would be 12 volts. And then because it's just touching it, it raises it up. And then it changes depending on how much it touches it. That is absolutely crazy, but there is no other explanation. Nothing else makes sense. So how am I going to prove that out without taking the whole intake off? This harness runs from here, right, up into here, comes back over to this, back around, down, around, up in through here, and then up into this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that I really don't, it's always a last resort. but but sometimes it has to be done. I always relate it to, like, if you're going in for some kind of a surgery or some kind of something to be done inside of you. It's like most of the time doctors can go in with a scope and they can just go in and fix some stuff, and not have to, cut you open, right? But at some point they might have to go in, they might have to open you up. And this is one of those things where, okay, we've tried everything we possibly can to be as least intrusive as possible. Now we're going to have to be a little intrusive. I'm going to have to separate that circuit. There's two ways I can do that. I can de-pin the connector, and then I can get another pin to put in here and, have a wire just hanging out. Okay, it would be on the brown wire. Okay, and then, or I can cut the wire. Here's the kicker. This side, not that big of a deal. This side is much more difficult. In order for me to do it over here, you got the key off, right? In order for me to do it over here, the only options I have is to either de-pin this, right? And then try to find a pin that's the correct, the correct pin for this, which I don't even know that I'd be able to find that. And if I do, it would be, who knows when I could get it. I'm sure that somebody out there will leave a comment that they can find them. And I would love to. Leave the comment, because I want to know where I can get these things. Because I don't like to cut wires. But short of having a harness, I don't have a harness for one of these laying around. Unfortunately, I wish I did. But what I'm going to have to do is open this up, come back up in here a little ways where I can get to it nice and easy, cut the wire. I don't like doing it, but I'll cut the wire, and then I can isolate the circuit. I'll have 6 inches or so here. I'll have 6 inches or so over there. I'll overlay a wire, and we'll run it. If that fixes it, if we then have a good pattern, then we 100% know that wire is the issue. Then we've got to go pull stuff apart and find it. The only other thing I can do, and I was talking to Bernie about this, is sometimes he's had luck with pulling the pin out, right? Pulling the circuit out, taking a wire, cutting a short little tiny piece of it off the end, just burying the wire on the end, just a 1/4 inch or so, and pushing up in there, and it'll touch the pin. These pins are so small. I just feel like we would, at that point, do I know I've got a good connection, right? I mean, I could muddy the water more by going, okay, now what's happening is I want to know that I've got good connection here, and I know I do with this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. This one over here is no big deal. This one's already been, the pigtail's already been replaced. So if you want to come over on this side, Sherwood, you can see it really easy.
I think they saw it earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody saw this already, but you guys know it's already been done here once. Unfortunately, they kind of came way far back, so I don't have much room here. I really hate to have two of them. This side I might actually de-pin and see if I can't find the right connector. It's much bigger. More than likely I can find something for this side. This side I can't. So let me go ahead and get this thing set up so that you guys can come back and see it's isolated, and then we're going to go back in, get another pattern with that circuit overlaid, and let's see what we get. And what we really want is it to be 5 volt square wave perfect, and then we're going to chase the wire. We don't like chasing wires, but at this point we just want to know the answer. We want to know what is our next step, because this is a really strange waveform. Got the wire cut over here at the engine module. I thought I got really, really lucky. As I opened this up, I noticed a bunch of tape that didn't look factory around. It was around this wire and some other wires, but it was just holding them together. It was just a separate, it wasn't holding the whole bundle. It was just around a couple of them, but we're good here. I didn't want to have 2 splices on this wire here. And I felt like if I cut it back this way, that's going to start getting really difficult. It's going to start getting underneath the throttle and stuff, and it's just going to be a pain. So we went ahead and ordered another connector. We went ahead and got a full connector. And I just pulled that out, pulled the one wire out of it, pulled the wire out of this one, which is right. Well, I can't pull it all the way out because it's just hard to see it. It's not in the connector cavity anymore. What's in the connector cavity now is this wire. This other one still has the weather pack on it, and it's still like the 3 wires are kind of together, but you guys get the gist. So this one that's going to be the sensor circuit. The 5 volt and the ground are still there, normal like they are. I want to just have Sherwood turn the key on. And we have, let me touch it. There we go. 5 volts on the money coming out of the module. Okay. So go ahead and shut it off, Sherwood. So that was me right there. So we have dead on 5 volts, perfect like we should. Like I said, that wire is going to be the issue, no question. Got a jumper. I say no question. I'm not saying that until I actually do it. Got our jumper wire. We're going to run that over here. I did check my jumper wire to be sure it was good, because I've had that happen before. Leave a comment down below if you've had your jumper wire not be good, and then you'll be really chasing. Whew. All right, that's now hooked up. I want to double check it. I want to see if I got 5 volts on it still. Oh, I won't have 5 volts on it now because now it's connected. It's connected to the sensor, so I won't have 5 volts on it there. Okay. Because that is people are going to wonder why. That there's no amperage on that circuit. There's not going to carry any load. It's plugged into the sensor now. It's going to take the 5 volts away. With it unplugged, you would have the 5 volts, which we already saw that. Let me go ahead and I've already got the ground of the scope hooked up. We're going to grab that in the easiest spot that I can get. All I went into here was I just T-pierced into that little jumper wire that came out of that pigtail for the sensor. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pattern. I can already see that it's good. Go ahead and zoom in on it. Here's our cranking. Yeah, so we are 0 to just under 5 volts. I mean, this is exactly what you would expect to see. There are no deviations there. This is it. The wire is the issue. The fun part is going to be figuring out, because now I want to know. Because see, here's the thing. Somebody might say run an overlay on that wire, and it would fix it because we just fixed it. The pattern is perfect. We're not going to get that code anymore. If we could run an overlay, somebody might say, oh, just run an overlay and run it over there or whatever. Okay. Here's the kicker. We know that wire has got to be touching some other circuit. It just has to be. In order for that voltage to go up, it has to be touching some other circuit. So now we have an issue with, okay, what's on the other circuit? We don't know where this wire is shorted. We don't know what other wires. I mean, if there's going to be a bundle of wires, no matter how big the bundle is, there's going to be more than one wire there. So if they're touching each other, they could be potentially touching other things. That could cause a bigger issue down the road. So now what we're going to have to do is call the client and get authorization to pull this plenum off, because it looks like to me it runs right here, okay, and it runs under the plenum, goes this way and comes out. Why do I want to pull plenum off? Well, here's the thing: it's going to be really, really, really difficult for me to. There's going to be no way to really determine where the problem is. I can't think of a way. I'd love to hear a comment down there. How would you guys attack that? We couldn't do we're not looking for a short to ground, so we couldn't use the little shorting, the little tools that we have for that. We can't. We're looking to a short to another circuit. The only way that I would know we could ever do that would be it would have to be to just see it. We'd have to find it. We're going to have to follow this down. And if we look at it, it's here, right? It's in this harness, runs around, comes down through here, right? Comes over to here. It doesn't go through one of these connectors that I could see anyway on the wiring diagram. Runs down, back, and then comes from under the plenum. Well, okay, where is our highest probability of failure is going to be? My thought is it's either somewhere right under in this area or somewhere back here. So I'm just going to go ahead. Luckily, it doesn't go under the actual intake. It just goes under this plenum. That's not the end of the world. We can get that out of here. And like I say, I talked to this client. I know he's going to want to do this. He wants to keep this thing. He says he keeps vehicles for a very, very long time. He takes good care of them. So we're going to call him up and say, hey, this is the problem. It's a wiring issue. We need to get access to it. If he says good, we're going to go ahead and access it. I know he will. Right off the bat, we see we're not the first ones in here. This hose, we took the clamp loose. It came right off. Wasn't even stuck at all. This hose came right off. Wasn't stuck at all. This bolt, which holds this bracket, was damaged, cross-threaded something because it wasn't even all the way down. It was sitting up about, probably about 1/8 of an inch, not bolted all the way down. And the bolts for the EGR tube on the EGR valve came off pretty easily, and they're pretty rusty. So somebody's been in here fairly recently. I'm not saying that that's part of the issue or the issue, but anytime, I always say things break in a logical manner until a human being touches it, and quite possibly something happened here. This won't be if this is something that happened when somebody pulled it apart or put it back together, that is, this won't be our first one, because I think we had another Jeep that had a 3.6 in it that actually somebody had done an oil cooler job on it, and they had pinched some wires and caused some issues, some really strange issues on that one too, as a matter of fact. So yes, I'm going to break these loose just because I don't know. Sherwood was like, why aren't you using power tools? I will. I'm going to buzz them out of there with a power tool. I just want to get them loose. I just have this thing about getting things broken loose because you don't never know if something's stuck, and then you go to take it loose with something, electric or air, and next thing you know, you snap a head off of it, and then if you could have worked it with a ratchet, but sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. Just pulled the throttle body connector off. We can see it's broken. Right, the tab's broken on it. It happens, but definitely not the first ones in this deal. Let's see if we can't get this out of there. I'll put that another hose on the back. That's how easy it comes off. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. Looking for something obvious now. Not really seeing it. Not what I wanted to see anyway. Might not be in here. It's gonna be running here. So it could just be inside the harness where they're touching each other. They might not be touching anything external in the harness, so we might end up having to take this thing, open it up. I just don't know of any other way to do this other than to see it. It's at least connected everywhere as far as the hold downs and stuff are. So I didn't see it in the wiring diagram, and I'm sure it's there, and I just overlooked it. But it does come through. Hang on, let me hook this up and show you guys. I'm not doing this permanently. I won't even try to go in there and say that. You guys know I'm not doing it permanently. All right, just gonna connect that back up because here's what we found. This thing's got me a couple times. This harness comes through, comes around, comes through this bend right here, and does come through this connector. So now I've got this connected back up at the PC, at the engine control module. I've got all the way to here. This is the end of our circuit now. It's not in the connector, so the connector is hooked up with this one. I hope this makes sense to you guys. This is our circuit coming from our engine module. It does go through this connector, so now I can break this in half. I should have done that before I pulled the intake off of it, but that's all right.
Better hope it's the side on.
I hope it's on that side. I really do hope it's on this side anyway, because I'm looking at it and that's just a little mini harness. It just goes to the injectors, coolant temp sensor, cam sensor, intake air, throttle body, and oil pressure. We could probably get that harness, buy that harness, but if it's still available. But what we're going to do now is have Sherwood turn the key on, and then I am going to check for 5 volts. We're going to watch the meter while I disconnect this connector. We see we don't have the proper voltage here. If this jumps up to 5 volts, then we know it's on that side of this connector. If it doesn't jump up, then we know it's on this side of the connector. If I can get this connector, it's got some time on it too. There we go. It already jumped up some.
Yep, there it is.
It's all the way up? Yep, 5 volts. Oh, Lordy, look at there. Looky, looky. Yep. That's not good. That's some really corroded. There we go. There's our problem. Not two wires touching. Man, I wish I had taken that loose before I pulled that intake off. Okay, whatever. Hey guys, I'm not perfect. You're seeing it all. You see it all on this channel. Okay, you see real life. That moisture, that water is what was making the voltage go. That's 100% what was making that voltage go across that. Now we got it. Now we know what the issue is. Now comes the really fun part, because it would have been a whole lot easier if it would have been a wire issue on that other side, because now we got to figure out, we can probably get this harness, so this side we can probably do with a harness if it's available. This one, we're going to need to, let me get my glasses on, see how I'm going to slide that off of there. There we go. Oh yeah.
Yes,
look at there.
Terrible.
Yeah, it smells terrible. The green crusties. This is going to have some terminals put in it. I mean, it really needs all of them. Look at these. I mean, that one might be salvageable. I don't know. That one's nasty. So, those are in bad. That's bad. Okay. Well, we found the problem. That's why it had that bleed over. Now we've got to figure out how we're going to, you know, what I want to see now is, that was, I think, I'm just trying to see what terminal it was. Well, it really doesn't matter because there's so much moisture in the whole thing. Even if it would have been one of these with power on it, it would have just bled through this whole thing. And this is why you don't run an overlay. Right there. That's 100% why you don't run an overlay. Is you find the problem. Because now we found something that is way, way more in-depth than we anticipated. Did some research on these connectors. They're not super easy to find for us so far. And the harness. We were looking for this harness. We found it on eBay and stuff, but who knows what kind of shape it's going to be in. Sherwood kind of questioned my thought process and said, "You sure we can't clean this? Is it worth a try?" And I said, "That's beyond cleaning." He said, "You should ask Eric if that's beyond cleaning." So I'm like, "Really? You trust Eric more than you trust me?" And he's like, "No," he said, "but we just need to know because he deals with it all the time." So I texted Erico and we went back and forth a little bit, sent him some pictures, and he said, "Oh no, that's way past cleaning." He's actually was joking around. He's like, "You're doing my work down there with the crusties, and I'm over here doing your work," because he's got a bunch of AC work up there. It's evidently in the 90s right now up there. So anyway, he gave us a great place to call. He said he's dealt with them. They're really, really receptive as far as taking pictures and finding stuff. We're going to give them a shout and see if they can give us this. What I'm looking for, here's my thought process on this. I want to take this harness. I really don't want to get one off of eBay. Perfect world is I want to find the shell and I want to find the terminals, and I'll take this harness off the car, put it on the bench, replace this shell with all the terminals in it, and then I'll just work on this one right here. So that's my thought process. But first we got to find the shells and the terminals. And so far, that hasn't been super easy. So let's call these people up. The name of it is Connector Experts. And we're going to give them a shout and just see, can they start to type in their number, right? 6342. And see if they can help us on what the process is there. Hi, this is Sherwood with the Rural Child Service in St. Mary's, Georgia. How are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I have got your information, your information from somebody, and they said you're really good with connectors that are kind of difficult. I've got a 2011 Jeep Wrangler, and I've got a pretty large connector that I need the shell and the terminals for it. I won't need the terminals like with pigtails. I just need the terminals. Is there a way for me to get you like pictures for it or whatever, and then you see if you can't find it?
Perfect.
I'm sorry?
That's perfect.
Okay.
I could give you either our email or text. You can send the photos.
Oh, text?
To us. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, text would be perfect.
Whenever you're ready, I can give you that number delivered. Give them about 15 to 20 minutes. If you can also put the year, make, and model for them.
Perfect. Yep, absolutely. What's the number?
It'll be 773-514-9580.
773-514-9580.
Yeah,
Perfect. I will send it to you in just a couple of minutes. Thank you so much.
no problem.
All right.
Thank you.
Righty. Bye-bye. It took them about 20, 25 minutes. They've got the shells. They've got the terminals that I want. You're going to get everything on the way. I talked to them 2 more times after the phone call that you guys heard. Super responsive, super nice. Assuming everything comes in good, I'm going to highly recommend them. We know a lot of you guys have left comments down below before on other videos about connector experts. We appreciate you guys. Appreciate Erico shouting out, giving them a shout out so we can remember to call them. We will be using them. And appreciate you guys watching. You know what to do. We are going to do a part 2. Hold on. I know everybody's like, whoa. We're going to do a part 2. Put these things together, get them all built and ready to go. It's going to take these guys some time to get the connectors to us. I think they'll probably be here tomorrow or the next day. We'll get this thing put together next week. Client's super happy. So appreciate you guys watching. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you know when we drop a video. Give us a thumbs up, leave a comment down below. Give a shout out to Connector Experts. Tag them, whatever you do. And appreciate you watching. See you in the next one. As you might have seen in the Buick video, if you didn't watch that, we'll put a link down below. Go back and watch that one. Sure was over editing the video. I've had some time to start working on these connectors. And I've got quite a few of them done. I made the decision that I was pulling them out and looking at them. A lot of them were perfectly fine, especially over in this area. They were good. Several of them did need to be replaced. So I've got those, the old ones just kind of sitting over here. Had a couple of mistakes when I was crimping the other ones. I was trying this. So let me show you the tools that you kind of need to do this with. These are not normal crimps, right? You're going to have some special crimping tools. First off, the one thing that I like is I like this tool here because it allows me to set the depth of how far I'm stripping the wire. And there are several different types of this. I guess this was an older version, but they have different ones you can get. I had another version, a Matco version. Don't know where it is. But anyway, I'll show you how that works in just a second. I did have a viewer actually sent these to us. He sent these with some connectors. Sadly, none of them would fit into this vehicle. No big deal though. But I did try these, and I'm gonna have to play around with them a little bit. I was having bad luck getting the crimp to actually shape properly, and we are going into a cavity here that requires everything to be the proper shape. It would crimp it and hold the wire, but when I went to go insert it, it had oblonged the crimp, and it just wouldn't let it go in properly. So we're going to show you how I'm doing these. Put my glasses on here. The other one, so I'm using this crimping tool, by the way. All right, so this one's just from Matco. I've had this thing for, I don't even know, 20 years. I don't know how long I've had it. So here's what I'm doing. Here's one that's definitely going to need to be replaced. So I pulled the little lock piece out, or part of the lock piece, and then we've got a lock down in here. I'm going to release that, and hopefully it'll work right on the. And I don't really care about the connector. I don't care about the shell. I don't care about any of it, but I want to get it out of there. Just popped right out of there. Of course, this one won't. As soon as we get the camera on it. I have not had one issue getting these things out. Okay, well, let's try this middle one. And there's the middle one. All right, so the middle one's out. I got to remember that. Middle one. Okay, and you can see that is definitely got some crusties, nasties on it. I'm not going to take a chance on that one at all. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I want to keep as much wire as possible as long as it's good wire. I'm just going to cut it right there. Now, I will tell you that the Connector Experts people, fantastic. They sent this stuff really quick. We got what we needed. I did forget to order the seals, but I got the seals in. When you're doing this, just for ease of putting this on, put the seal on before you strip the wire. I'm not saying you can't do it after, but it's way easier to do it before you strip the wire. All right, now this is where these come in handy. I can put these in. I'm not worrying about depth or here. This is going to be a good length for me. And then, nope. One of the connectors, right? And this is where you'll see that they're a little different. So you put this in, and what we're going to do is we're going to crimp here. So this is going to go in. See if I can't. We're going to crimp this. We're not going to crimp this yet. We're going to crimp this. This is going to hold the wire. Then I'll slide the seal on, and then I'll very lightly crimp this part around the seal, and that'll just keep everything from getting moisture in there. So we take these. Probably going to block you out for just a second because I got to be able to see it. Okay, and that's that one. I'm going to here. Nope. I've been doing the smaller one, so C. This is C. All right, here we go. This is going to get it down. And that's in. That's nice and tight. We'll pull, and that was, there's different sizes as you can see. I've been doing the smaller one, so this is the first big one I've done since these. All right, slide that down on there. You have to have this. If you don't have the seal on here, moisture is going to get into this thing, and it's going to be just like it was before, but fast. All right, then you're just going to, and don't have to kill this one. This one is just a very light little, like that. And then you just take that and upside down. There it is. Boom. And that's it. So I've got to do the other two on this one. Then I'll lock this plate down in. And then I've got to do the ones on the actual truck, on the Jeep itself. And we'll be good to go. I got to put this back on under the intake, obviously, but we'll get all that. I've got to get this finished up. Let me get this one, the last two wires done, and then we'll get this. I'm going to probably do the one on the Jeep. I'm not going to sit there and have you guys watch me do every single one of these. It's pretty tedious. It's taken me, I don't know, I've spent about an hour running, moving these over, replacing the ones that need to be replaced. So this is tedious work, but it's got to be done right, or otherwise you're going to have loose connections and you'll have issues. So let me get these last two done, and then we'll work on the Jeep. Got the connectors rebuilt. Both sides are done. All back together. So everything's good, in place. Like I told you, the clip came with it, so everything's secured. Got it taped back up. Tape's not sticking real good. I'm probably going to have to do a little bit of work on that. Intake's back on. Everything's torqued down, buttoned up. I've got the red circuit, the red lead on the scope, and the cam sensor signal circuit. So we're going to look at that. I'm going to go ahead and fire the scope up. We're not going to do a screen record on this one. Give Sherwood a break on editing. We're going to fire it up, and we're going to make sure we don't have that jump from like 3 volts to 7 or 8 volts. We want something around 5 volts. Oh, key. And we still got the clicking in here for the whatever door. All right. There it is.
That's
Go ahead and stop
for.
it. Did it stop?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. I'm going to shut this thing off. There we go. How's she look? Perfect. It all makes sense having the water intrusion in here. We do got to get it out on the road. Let's make sure it's got full power on it. I've got other things to do. Obviously, we're going to end the video once we drive this thing and make sure it's got good power and doesn't fall on its face. He wants us to look at the airbag light and possibly look at the door deal. So the blend door, that would irritate me because it doesn't just do it one time. So let's get this thing where I can close the hood down, get the scope off of it. And it's always good though, guys, when you're doing something like this, make sure that you recheck it at the end. You know, go ahead and hook back up to it. That did not take me long to hook back up to it, and get the end of it to know, yeah, you fixed it. So that way you're 100% sure. We're 100% sure this is fixed. There's no doubt about it. Did we pretty much know that once we saw all this corrosion and stuff? Absolutely. But you want to be 100%, and that's the way you're 100%. We're going to go take it down the road, and we're going to go make sure it's got full power. So for those of you that don't know, we're in Southeast Georgia, Northeast Florida. We're a mile from Florida. We don't really have hills here. This truck had an issue going up the Intercoastal Bridge. This is about as close as we're going to get to that. It's not a big bridge. This is actually probably got a little, probably the same incline. So we're going to go ahead and accelerate up this bridge. He said he couldn't get it over 3,500. We're already at 4,000 RPM. At the top, we're going to go ahead and slow that on down. So this truck is 100% fixed. We knew that already. But we always like to be sure. We'll jump on the highway here and accelerate on the on-ramp. Just be triply sure. And then we will get it back to the shop, and this thing will be good to go. All right, guys, it's about 5 or 6 weeks later. The Jeep has been perfect, no issues whatsoever. Just took a long time to get the editing done on this thing. The editor was having a tough time with it. But I think he did a great job. Leave a comment down below and let us know what you think about the editing job on this particular video. We appreciate you watching. You know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, give us a thumbs up, and I'm looking for that comment. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, absolutely not.
100%. I am going with that.
You can go with it.
Oh, you're going to use that.
I'll use it.
Good.
But now you can tell them the truth.
What is not the truth?
I have to have screen recordings.
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say I'm not telling the truth?
I have to have screen recordings to be able to edit videos.
Pretty sure I uploaded those screen recordings about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
I'm pretty sure that's inaccurate, but
I can look and see.
That's about as inaccurate as you putting the cam sensor in there.
Oh.
And we'll end on that.